Right. Sorry about that. Third time lucky. We definitely won't be having this show on replay. Jesus Christ almighty. What an absolute shocker that was. Right. Take number 3. Let's try this again. Technical problems first thing in the morning. Dimitri Bivol dominates, in my opinion, Canelo Alvarez. He absolutely dominates Canelo Alvarez over the distance. I mean, let me start off by saying credit to Canelo Alvarez because you only take losses like the ones that Canelo took tonight when you chase genuine greatness. So look, I'm not going to go in too hard on Canelo Alvarez. I'm going to go in quite hard on the judges. And I'm going to be going on quite hard on Eddy Reynoso because I've been talking about Canelo Alvarez and I've been quite critical. I've actually been one of the few people online who have been quite critical about some of Canelo Alvarez's recent performances from a technical standpoint. And we'll go through all the technical details in a minute. We'll also be asking you, do you think the judges' scorecards were right? 115, 113 to Dimitri Bivol. Did anybody have Canelo Alvarez 2 rounds away from Dimitri Bivol in that fight? From what I could see online, the majority of the scores were like 116, 112, 117, 111. CBS even had it something like 118, 109 or something ridiculous. I mean, the majority of people who I've seen tonight scoring this card, I think Dan Raphael had the fight quite close. I think Dan Raphael had it 6-4 going up into round 10. But then again, if you take one look at Dan Raphael, you know, I think no more needs to be said about that. So what we're going to be talking about is, do you think the judges' scorecards were fair? Can Canelo Alvarez win the rematch? I'm not sure he can. And Eddy Reynoso as a coach. Let me start off by saying the following very, very quickly about Canelo Alvarez and why he lost that fight tonight. I've been getting hell online. This guy. I have been getting hell online for talking about. Listen, let me put it this way, right? Let me put it this way. When you've got a massive height and reach disadvantage, yeah, like the one Canelo faced tonight. I'm not sure about the reach, but definitely had a height advantage. It definitely looked like Canelo had a lot of problems getting into range tonight. You see this style of boxing that Eddy Reynoso has been having Canelo do recently, where Canelo's loading up on them big single shots. I'll probably be one of the only channels on here to talk about Canelo, yeah, and how this constant loading up on big single shots was going to get him into trouble in a big fight. What you need, yeah, what you need against a fighter like Dimitri Bivol is what we call in boxing a good second phase of attack, right? People who've been in the gym have probably heard that phase in boxing. You need a good second phase, which means when you miss your first phase of attack, you need to leave yourself in position and you need to leave yourself on balance to land that second phase of attack. And the thing with Canelo, what's undone Canelo tonight is, A, Dimitri Bivol's got outstanding footwork. B, Dimitri Bivol's got a very, very good jab, which we'll talk about in a second. C, Dimitri Bivol's got excellent guard. Dimitri Bivol has an outstanding guard, which we'll talk about. But what done Canelo tonight is Canelo had no second phase of attack. He had no second phase of attack whatsoever. And like I said before, you step into any gym, first phase is important. But when you're dealing with somebody who's taller and possibly longer than you, it's really important that when you miss your first phase of attack, because you know when you're going in against somebody who's got a height and reach advantage, you know, especially if they're a very, very good jabber like Dimitri Bivol, you know, particularly in the early rounds, you're going to miss a lot of your phase 1 attacks. You're going to miss a lot of your phase 1 attacks. So you need to leave yourself in position for that second phase. And let me tell you something, Canelo Alvarez never left himself in position for the second phase of attack. And let me tell you something right now, Eddy Reynoso, yeah, I've been asking questions about this style, this Canelo style. You see Canelo tonight again. What did you think? Did you think Canelo was predictable in tonight's ring, yes or no? What was the shot that he kept looking for over and over again? Double jab, overhand right. Am I right or am I wrong? If you think I'm wrong, press 2. If you think I'm right, press 1. Canelo Alvarez, looking for the same combination over and over again tonight. Looking to walk through Bivol in a straight line, double jab, overhand right. What happened when Bivol made him miss and step out of range with the right hand? He was never in position to land anything else. Never. Did you notice that? There was no second phase whatsoever from Canelo Alvarez. He had no second phase in this fight. They're calling Eddy Reynoso the fucking trainer of the year. No second phase. No second phase. And you know why there's no second phase? Because again, when you load up on big single shots and you hit fresh air, you leave yourself out of balance and out of position to land the second phase. And that's what was happening to Canelo. Canelo was going with a double jab, overhand right, missed the overhand right. Bivol would step out of range. Canelo would hit fresh air a lot of times. Yeah. Bivol would circle off and Canelo would not be in a position to continue the attack. That was mistake number one. That was the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake that done Canelo Alvarez tonight was there was no second phase of attack. Again, I spent my Saturday in the gym. Any of you who go to the gym this week or next week, ask any boxing coach, say, boxing coach, Ultra Talk told me about the second phase of attack. What's the second phase? You need the second phase of attack. You look at some of the greatest pressure fighters of all time, yeah? Guys like Julio Cesar Chavez. Mate, they had wicked second phases of attack. Second thing from Canelo Alvarez, yeah? So because Reynoso's got him in this style, where he's walking around and he's loading up on these big singles. You see what I'm saying? Because he's walking around with these big singles. Double jab, big right hand. Cut him off in the corner, load up on the big left hook. Right? Because he's loading up on these big singles, what happened? You start seeing gas. When he couldn't put the dent in Bivol and Bivol's legs wouldn't slow down, Canelo Alvarez started to gas. What is something that we've been talking about on this channel time and time again that Bivol did tonight? Touch jabs. Press 1 if you think I'm lying or if you think I'm wrong, or press 2 if press 1 if you think I'm correct, and press 2 if you think I'm wrong. How many times has this channel talked about the effectiveness of touch jabs in boxing and using touch jabs to gauge distance and set up shots? Dimitri Bivol touch jab, absolutely outstanding. Peter Fury is probably the only fucking coach in the UK that's got fighters fighting in this way. You now tonight see the effectiveness of what we've been talking about on this channel for the last 4 or 5 years, the touch jab. You know why the touch jab's really important? Not, you don't have to do it all the time, but you know why the touch jab's really important? Touch, 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 touch. Keep Canelo off balance. Keep Canelo ducking, spinning at the waist. Keep him off balance. Touch, 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 touch. Keep Canelo off balance. You know another thing that's important as well? You don't commit. You don't overcommit when you touch, touch, touch. You always know where you are in the ring. You always know your distance relative to the opponent. I mean, Dimitri Bivol's got excellent footwork anyway. But you see Bivol, touch, 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 and he's adjusting them feet off them touches. Because every time you touch him with the jab, you get information about where is Canelo in the ring. Well, I'm going to adjust my feet. And these guys don't think like that in the ring. It becomes instinctive. It becomes instinctive. Yeah? Touch, 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 and he adjusts his feet, make Canelo fall short. Touch, touch, touch. Another thing that happens when you set up your shots behind touch jabs, like what Dimitri Bivol did tonight, right, is you don't overcommit. Makes sense? You look at these Callum Smith type fighters, stiff jab, stiff jab. You know, Canelo loves that. Canelo loves them type of fighters. You know them Callum Smith type fighters with the stiff jab, stiff jab. Do you know why? Because you come in with the stiff jab, you overcommit, you fall in, and you know what Canelo does? He's one of the best counter punchers in boxing. Slip overhand, slip left hook, slip walk you into a big shot. Dimitri Bivol showed you the effectiveness of the touch jab. Gauging distance, constantly getting information about where Canelo is and adjusting the feet and making Canelo fall short. I agree with you there, Corrupt. Bivol's Russian amateur experience played a major role here. Absolutely agree with you. And if you look at the Russian amateur videos on YouTube, I would urge anybody to go. I'll get it up on the screen. If you are interested in boxing and if you're one of them people that goes to the gym, not one of these people that endlessly screams about resume. Can you guys not understand? Is this the fight to not make you guys now really understand that resumes don't win fights in boxing? Yeah, we all agree with that now. We all are now beginning to get it through our thick head. Here's the channel if anybody's interested, where you actually learn something about boxing, Russian School of Boxing. These are the channels that you should be watching, not these other Mickey Mouse channels that be blabbering on about resumes, because people in the boxing ring do not get hit over the head with resumes. We've got 300 people in the chat. If you like what I'm saying, feel free to please hit the like button. No one cares if you subscribe or not. I'm going to do this show as if there were 10 people in the chat. Dimitri Bivol, touch jabs, adjustment of feet, adjustment of distance, excellent. But Canelo, in my opinion, Eddy Reynoso, that style that he's got Canelo Alvarez fighting in, where Canelo's loading up on them big single shots, we've been talking about it for a while. Unfortunately, that has come back to haunt him. Because when you miss that big single shot, you do not get the second phase. And he lost that second phase of attack. Another thing that we saw from Canelo Alvarez, on this channel, we talk about fundamentals. And I'm not saying that Canelo Alvarez doesn't have great fundamentals. I'm not saying that. But we talk about When your plan A isn't going to plan, what fundamentals do you have to fall back on? You see Canelo start to tire in the middle rounds. Press 1 if you agree. Press 2 if you disagree. Did you think that Canelo started tiring round about round 5, round 6? Because he was hitting fresh air, he was hitting arms. Dimitri Bivol's guard, in my opinion, outstanding. Dimitri Bivol's guard. You know, Canelo is an incredibly accurate puncher. Canelo is an incredibly accurate puncher. You know, even a lot of the uppercuts that Canelo was landing, if you actually look at them on the DAZN replay, they were deflecting off gloves before they were hitting straight chin. Like Dimitri Bivol's guard was tighter than a you-know-what. You know when Canelo started missing and hitting fresh air? You know when Canelo started tiring? Do you know what started happening to Canelo later on in the fight? Why he started getting hurt? Because he started getting catched and countered. You see Bivol start to catch and really hurt Canelo later on in the fight. You know the shot that Bivol was throwing at Canelo all night long? Do you know when Canelo started throwing that overhand right? Canelo was loading up so much on that overhand right that he was falling in off it. And he was and the shot and the right hand was falling to his waist. So he'd throw the overhand right, he'd hit fresh air, overhand, exactly. There you go. Joe, left hook. Bivol was throwing that shot every time. He'd either catch and counter or he'd make Canelo fall short and come over with the left hook. He was throwing that shot every single time on Canelo Alvarez. Every single time. Catch and counter left hook. So Joe's been paying attention. He threw that every single time. Especially after round 6, when he realized the steam started coming out of Canelo's punches. You can see Canelo pushing his punches from round 6. You can see the snap go out of Canelo's punches. You see the snap go out of Canelo's punches after round 6. And when your snap starts going out your punches, let me ask you, press 1 if you agree or press 2 if you disagree. Is this one of the only channels in boxing that's been talking about the lack of feinting from Canelo Alvarez in his recent fights? When all these other people have been blowing smoke about his resume, talking about his resume, who he's fought. Listen, I'm not saying Canelo's not a great fighter, but on this channel, we always look for flaws in fighters. How many times on this channel have I spoke about Canelo not feinting before he goes with his shots? And that Canelo's walking fighters down, jab, loading up on a big shot, not feinting before his shots. What happens in boxing when you don't feint behind your shots? You get picked off and you get timed, particularly when you're going up in weights, when you're physically disadvantaged like what Canelo was tonight. Yeah? When you're physically disadvantaged, like oh my God. Why do people get upset? You don't know shit. I was in a boxing gym today. Where were you? I spent all of Saturday in the boxing gym. What were you doing? What gym do you go to? I bet you don't even go to a gym. These guys are clowns. But anyway, let me carry on. Here we're getting caught and countered, catch, counter, left hook every single time. And you know what happens? Because when you load up on the big single shots and you hit fresh air, there you are. You're there for that shot. You're there for that shot. You can see in it, when Canelo Alvarez wasn't able to land the big shot, when he wasn't able to slow down the feet of Dimitri Bivol, when he wasn't able to put a dent in him, for me, the fundamentals kind of came apart there for me. And he walked himself onto some big shots towards the end of that fight. I don't know how you feel about that. What do you guys feel? For me, he walked onto some big shots towards the end of that fight, in my opinion. So it is what it is with Canelo Alvarez, you know, not fainting before he goes. He was getting timed from round 6 onwards. For me, he was getting timed off that left foot. I didn't see a plan B from Canelo Alvarez, which is very, very difficult when you've got someone like Dimitri Bivol, because like Canelo said in the post-fight interview, Dimitri Bivol has got an excellent in and out game. You know, he's and the way Dimitri Bivol plays with distance, it's very, very hard. Very, very hard if you're shorter and smaller to get into range to land shots against him, because he's constantly adjusting the distance. And again, he's constantly touching you. Touch, keeping you off balance. But he's constantly just adjusting those feet in and out, steps in, steps out. It's very, very good, very good judgment of distance, Dimitri Bivol. And like I said before, when you're dealing with fighters, when you're Canelo Alvarez and you're physically disadvantaged, it is what it is. It is what it is, and you need more. Dewey Lee says, no domination. The judges called it close. Is there anybody in this chat right now who had that fight 115, 113 to Canelo? Genuinely. The judges called it close. Jesus fucking Christ. I've got some words for those judges. 115, 113. Do you know what? I tell you what, if you don't agree with me, let's do this. After the fight, we'll go through all of the people ringside who scored the fight. So, for instance, Sean Porter. You guys are going to tell me Sean Porter knows nothing about boxing, right? That's what you're going to tell me. Sean Porter knows nothing about boxing. Sean Porter had that fight 8-4, 9-3 to Bivol. 8-4, 9-3 to Bivol. Does anybody here? I can't see one person in this chat who thinks that was a close fight. Does anybody in this chat think that was a nip and tuck fight? No. 117, 111. Bivol 8-4 easy. Bivol 10-2, 8-4 worst. 9-3, 8-4 Bivol. 116, 112. 117, 111. Chris Villegas says 7-5 Bivol, and that's been generous to Canelo. 9-3, 9-3, 9-3, 10-2, 9-3, 9-3, 8-4, 9-3. 118, 111. 119, 110. Those scorecards are laughable. I want to see. Maybe, look, I'll go back and maybe have a look at it again. I want to see those scorecards. Michael Benson's pretty good at getting these scorecards up. Maybe we need to have a look at the round by round. But to be honest, here we go. Here we have them right now. Here are the scorecards. Let's see what's going on. 115, 113. Let's just see what kind of rounds that they gave. But to be fair, though, look. I mean, look at this. What's this going on here? Do you agree with this? Dave Moretti gave Canelo all of the first 4 rounds. Tim Cheatham gave Canelo Alvarez all of the first 4 rounds. In fact, have I seen this? Eh? Have I read that right? All of the judges have given Canelo the first 4 rounds. What the am I hallucinating? Or have I read that right? You guys can see it on the screen. Am I hallucinating? Jesus fucking Christ. Have I seen that right? Every single judge has given Canelo Alvarez the first 4 rounds. All of the judges had Bivol 4-0 down going into that 5th round. Jesus fucking Christ almighty. There's people online saying the judges have got the scores right. These scorecards are good for boxing. The judges have got the scorecards right. Jesus Christ. Bivol was 4-0 down on all of the judges' cards. How on earth has he managed to get out of that arena with his belt? I mean, I definitely thought Canelo had his share of them first 4 rounds. I thought Canelo had his share. But to give Bivol none, not one judge gave Bivol any of them opening 4 rounds. Oh my God. Them cards are absolutely shocking. Them cards are absolutely shocking. So don't listen to that DAZN spin, all that spiel that you can hear on DAZN, where they're saying, oh, the cards are good for boxing. The judges got it right. No, they didn't. The judges are the only people who watched that fight who had it that close. I haven't seen anybody else have that fight that close. And I don't know of any living, breathing human being who thought that Dimitri Bivol lost them first 4 rounds. Simple as that. And we need to talk about this stuff in boxing. I have to be honest with you. We have to talk about this stuff in boxing. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to look at these scorecards and pretend that these scorecards aren't dodgy? Is that what you want me to do? Do you want me to say, oh yeah, I can see a way Dimitri Bivol was 4 rounds down? Well, you want me to say Dimitri Bivol was truly 4-0 down going into round 5? I mean, these cards need to be investigated. Those are shocking cards. And those cards need to be investigated. There will be a rematch. What do you guys think about the rematch? Does anybody think Canelo's going to win the... I'll tell you what. This is what I'm saying, right? People talk about Anthony Joshua and Usyk. This is why I'm picking AJ to beat Usyk. And this is why I'm picking Canelo Alvarez to beat Bivol in the rematch. Because with cards like those, let's be honest, he hasn't got much of a fucking hope, has he? 4-0 down going into the 5th round. He hasn't really got much hope, has he? In that rematch. What do you guys think? Well, Marco says it's a pointless rematch, but I don't think Bivol has a choice, does he? Reva Fuzzball says the rematch will not happen. Well, there's a rematch clause. You know how Matchroom operate. Does Bivol have a choice? Can Bivol move on? Can Bivol move on? I don't think he can move on, right? Chris Villegas says Canelo clearly lost this fight. Him saying he thought he did enough to win his bull. And look, I appreciate that somebody can be honest about it. I mean, to be fair to Canelo, he made no excuses. He made no excuses. Mr. Fool says Bivol stops Canelo in the rematch. Listen, if you look at these scorecards, he'll have to. If you look at these scorecards, he'll have to. Because there's no way them judges are going to be making that mistake again in the second fight. It was what it was. It was what it was. Imran is saying, whoa, all of the judges scored the rounds exactly the same. One more time for those of you who are just joining, 280 people in the chat. If you would like to hit the like button, please do. I'm going to tell you things that the other channels aren't going to tell you. They're going to blabber on about fucking resume and all this fucking nonsense. I just tell you how it is. I don't care. I tell you how it is. These scorecards are outrageous. 290 in the chat. Please hit the like button. 6 a.m. in the morning here, UK time. If you'd like to subscribe, please consider subscribing. Listen, we're going to go through your comments on what you thought. How do you guys think Canelo lost that fight? I place a lot of the blame on Eddy Reynoso. I think the way he's been fighting with Eddy Reynoso for his last couple of fights, the warning signs were in the Sergey Kovalev fight. Those were the warning signs. And this fight, would you agree that this fight was basically a continuation of the Sergey Kovalev fight? You heard Bivol in the post-fight saying Bivol studied that fight, right? He's Jake Paul getting on the net. Joker. Jake Paul saying he beat Canelo in 3 years. Jake Paul's a fucking clown, but we'll show it for the lols. I mean, listen, we're not going to be disrespecting Canelo. Canelo is a great fighter who got in with somebody who unfortunately just had too much physical attributes for him. You know, I'm not saying Canelo Alvarez is exposed. He's not as good as, people thought he was, all this kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, Eddy Reynoso, I have these big question marks about Eddy Reynoso. Have you seen Frank Sanchez? He's another one who fights in exactly the same way, and I've been calling him out for the last while as well. We'll read your comments. Give me your comments. What do you think about the way that Canelo fought tonight? For me, let me just summarize it one more time for the people that are just coming into the chat with Canelo Alvarez. Ask any boxing coach. Second phase of attack is very, 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 very important. When you need to be a pressure fighter, when you're dealing with somebody who's bigger and taller than you. You know, going into the early rounds, if it's a big, tall fighter who knows how to use distance and knows how to use range, you know that in them early rounds, you're going to fall short a lot of your time with your first phase of attack. So you need to leave yourself in position to follow up with that second phase of attack. Go and ask Sean Porter. Sean Porter was an excellent pressure fighter. Go and ask Sean Porter about second phase of attack. I'm not saying Sean Porter was good as Canelo Alvarez, but when Sean Porter fought, did you ever see Sean Porter throw a big single shot and then leave himself out of position to go up and land a 2, 3, 4, 5 punch combination? Or did you see Sean Porter leave himself into position to go with the shots? No second phase of attack from Canelo Alvarez. Minimal feint. He was getting timed and picked up. When you're getting timed in a fight, you have to start throwing off the guy's timing. One of the easiest ways to start throwing off a guy's timing is different looks, different feints. Didn't see that from Canelo. Didn't see a plan B from Canelo Alvarez. What do you think about Eddy Reynoso as a trainer? Big question marks need to be asked about Eddy Reynoso as a trainer. I know I'll get criticized for saying that, but it is what it is. Let me go through your comments. Get your comments in. Can Canelo win the rematch? I think if you look at these scorecards, again, the scorecards have Bivol 4-0 down going into round 5. Based on those scorecards, yes, I think Canelo will get a decision in the rematch. But to be honest, it's going to be a tough fight for him. Because to be honest, the one thing I will say is, if you look at the end of the fight, did you notice that Bivol started to hold his ground and sit on the inside of Canelo, yes or no? Press 1 if you agree, press 2 if you disagree. Did you notice rounds 10, 11, and 12, them championship rounds, did you notice Bivol started to slow the feet, stay up on the inside of Canelo, high guard, catching them shots, and then start countering him? He started to stand his ground a lot more. He started to stand his ground a lot more in the later half of that fight. Really started to land shots. And like I said, the left hook was working beautiful. The left hook was working very, 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 very good. You know, I'll say one more thing, and I could be completely wrong about this, and I'll go through all your comments. And people will criticize me. I could be completely wrong about this. You know, we know Canelo defensively, yeah, is one of the best fighters in boxing, yeah? We know that, yeah? Like, defensively, he's a very, very good fighter, yeah? Very, very good fighter. You know when he leans back on shots? You know when Canelo leans back a lot? You see that? You know he likes to swivel. You know, he likes to swivel, move, lots of head movement. But you see he likes to lean back off shots. We had a chat about that in the boxing gym today, leaning back off shots. And again, when you're dealing with somebody who's bigger and taller like that, these are the kind of things where these kind of things come back to haunt you. But you know when you lean back off shots, I'm not a big fan of fighters who lean back. Because when you lean back, yeah, when you lean back, there's nothing to stop the other fighter just advancing and following up with a 1-2 and hitting you straight down the pipe. Did you notice tonight the amount of times that Bivol would throw a left hook, Canelo would lean back, yeah, which is fair. Canelo would lean back to avoid it, and then Bivol would follow through from the right hand and nail him down the middle as he was leaning back. There you go, Richard. Every time he leaned back, Bivol could still reach him and touch him every time. You see Canelo get hit on the lean back with right hand off the right hand tonight. You see that? You see that? You see that? You see when Bivol would throw a little shot or throw a little left hook, Canelo would lean back. And you see what Bivol would do? Follow him through with the right hand. Even in the gym today, that's something that we spoke about, you know. I had a guy trying to tell me it's a good thing to lean back in boxing. And I said, you know what? Leaning back in boxing, listen, we're not Canelo Alvarez, but when you lean back, you got to be careful, because when you lean back like that, there's nothing to stop a guy just following through with the right hand and going straight through on you, you know. It's better to just adjust your feet instead of leaning back. Does that make sense? It's better to just adjust your feet. But these are things that he's an exceptional fighter, yeah? But these are the things that he's been getting away with guys like Callum Smith. Callum Smith is not Dimitri Bivol. You saw that tonight. Billy Joe Saunders ain't no fucking Dimitri Bivol. Avandi Yildirim is no fucking Bivol. Do you know what I mean? Avani Yildirim is no Bivol, man. Yildirim is no Bivol. Billy Joe Saunders is nothing like Bivol, you know? And you saw tonight, you know, Canelo was undone by the fundamentals of boxing. Good jab, adjustment of feet, good distance. Okay. Do you know what tonight was? Tonight was a good big man beats a good little man. That's what we saw tonight. Would you agree with that, yes or no? That's what we saw tonight in boxing. Tonight we saw that a good big man, most of the time, beats a good little man. And that's what we saw in boxing tonight. Bivol used his physical advantages perfectly. Didn't overcommit with the jab. Again, I will say one more thing and I'll go through your comments. Look at that touch jab from Bivol. You go into any fucking gym in the UK right now, they don't know nothing about this touch jab stuff. You know these meat and two veg coaches in British gyms? These meat and two veg coaches. Yeah, give me a jab, give me a right hand. They don't know nothing about this stuff. They don't know nothing about touch. The only one who knows about it is Peter Fury. He's the only one who knows about that. Peter Fury, the only coach in Britain who understands what I'm talking about right now. All these other coaches, they be having these fighters. Do you know what? They be having these fighters, guys like Lewis Ritson. Yeah, stiff jab, stiffen up the jab. Yeah, Canelo would love that. Stiff jab, overcommit. Canelo slips, uppercut, slip, overhand right, slip, left hook. Canelo feeds off them British. That's why it's not the only reason. Canelo's a great fighter, but Canelo feeds off them Muppet British fighters. Do you understand? Canelo feeds off these Muppet British fighters who have no feet in a stiff jab. Guys like Callum Smith who plod in, stiff jab. Canelo slip, uppercut, slip, overhand right, slip, left hook. Canelo makes mincemeat of these dudes, man. These dudes don't know nothing about that. You look at the Russian School of Boxing. We showed you the boxing channel. Stop watching these stupid channels banging on about resume. Does anybody think resume won fights tonight? Do people now finally get it? Before we go through the comments, do people finally understand why I've been bagging on about resumes? About styles make fights, not resumes. Resumes don't punch you in the face. Oh, but he got a great resume. Oh, but look at his resume, who he fought. He got nothing to do with what happens in the fucking ring. Nothing. And you saw that tonight. This is a great channel. Russian School of Boxing. If you want to learn some of what Dimitri Bivol was doing in the ring tonight, if you want to learn about the in and out movement, am I wrong? Do they call that pendulum stepping, or am I wrong? I'm not a boxing expert at all, but do they call that the pendulum stepping? Yes or no? The in and out movement, the in out movement is that what these coaches not call the pendulum stepping? Yes or no? Am I right? They call that the pendulum stepping. Fucking learn something about boxing and watch proper boxing channels and learn something about the fucking game. And stop watching people who've never been in a fucking ring talking about a resume. Anyway, let me move on from that now. Let me go through all your comments. Yes, it's called pendulum stepping, yeah? Okay. Right, let's go through it. Get your comments in, we'll go through them all. If anybody really wants to call in, maybe we can do call in if you want. 31 minutes, 356 in the chat. If you'd like to hit the like button, please hit the like button. You know what? I don't know. Sometimes we get people come on who are a bit naughty, but we can think about the calling if anybody really wants to call in. Right, Marco is saying we're getting robbed of Beterbiev versus Bivol. I mean, people are saying this is a disaster for Eddy Hearn. I have to be honest with you. I'm not sure if it's a big disaster for Eddy Hearn because I think they're going to make big money. Listen, let me tell you something. You see this rematch with Bivol, yeah? The Mexicans are going to come out in force for that. No question. They're going to back their man. I mean, I'd imagine the pay-per-view numbers are going to be fucking out of this world. So if people are saying it's a disaster for Matchroom, I'm not sure if it's really a big disaster for Matchroom, you know? Because now that Canelo's lost in a weird way, I think the pay-per-view rematch with Bivol, if that happens, is going to be big, big, big money. I'm expecting them to come out in force and really buy the pay-per-view to go and see Canelo now. So, listen, in a weird way, it actually could be one of the best things to ever happen to the Zone pay-per-view. What do you guys think? Do you think I might have a point there or not? I actually think this could be one of the best things to happen to the Zone pay-per-view. And let's be honest, there's nobody on the planet more who wouldn't like to see the bankruptcy and dissolvement of the Zone rather than me. But I think it's going to be brilliant for the Zone, actually. I think the Mexicans are going to come out in force. I don't know if they sold out tonight. Did they sell out tonight? There was rumors going into the fight that they were having difficulty shifting tickets. They're not going to have any difficulty shifting tickets for the Canelo Alvarez redemption arc. They're not going to have any problems shifting tickets or selling any pay-per-view for the Canelo Alvarez redemption arc, because this is going to be a hell of a fight. And you know what? Like I said before, Canelo Alvarez, let me tell you right now, if you were Canelo's coach, would you advise him to go straight into that rematch with Bivol? He will do it because he's a legend. He's a legend. So he will do it. He's a legend. But will you advise him to go straight into the rematch with Bivol? We'll see. Let's have a look here at some of your comments. Yeah, Palmo, I agree with this. Bivol not taking the bait to go recklessly after Canelo on the ropes was nice. Yeah, you know Canelo's one of the best counter punchers. But you know what? Like I said before, Bivol knew he was up in the fight, and that's what that was. Bivol knew he was up in the fight. We all know Canelo's one of the most dangerous counter punchers off the ropes going. So Bivol knew what he was doing. And what was Bivol doing again? You see, when Bivol had him on the ropes, what was he doing? He didn't overcommit. When Canelo was against the ropes trying to bait him in, touch, 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 touch. He's just using that touch jab. Just touch, 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 touch. Touch, touch. Because when you're touching, he's not overcommitting with big single jab, falling over your front foot, walk yourself into something. Big right hand, falling off the right hand, walk yourself onto a big Canelo shot. So what does he do? Touch, touch, touch. So he keeps his distance. So he's always adjusting his distance. It's just quality fundamentals. Like, who would you say has better? I'm not going to go there because I tell you what, it's a bit unfair to Canelo because, like I said before, yeah, I agree with this, Mr. Anderson. Let's give Canelo his due. In my opinion, the Bivol fight was the hardest fight out there for him. I wouldn't have put him anywhere near. I think, look, you've got to give Canelo credit. And like I said before, this channel, when we look at fighters, we always look at fighters from a critical eye in terms of what they could be doing better. Okay, it's not to say Canelo's not a great fighter. He is a great fighter. He just came up against someone who was too big. This was good big man beats a good small man. End of story. I'm not going to read that out because I'm trying to do the thing. Let's have a look here. So I'm just going through some stuff. Makabu, fight Makabu. Yeah, Makabu is no Bivol. Makabu is no Bivol. That's what I'm saying. Makabu is no Bivol. Makabu doesn't have a jab, and Makabu can't adjust his feet the way that Bivol does. I mean, Makabu is a completely different fight. That is a completely different fight. You know, when you look at this fight and you look at it back stylistically, it's a very, very hard fight for Canelo to win. Obviously, that I wasn't saying that before, and so obviously, you know, it's a lot of hindsight, yeah. But the way that Bivol adjusts his distance and the Bivol's guard, you know, it's not just adjustment of the distance. Bivol's guard is extremely good. You know, like his guard is very, very solid. I have to say, like, his guard is very economical and very solid. Took a lot of shots of arms. He didn't take a lot of shots clean tonight, like I said before. And normally in these fights, you see what Canelo's been doing. Listen, even in the Caleb Plant fight, Caleb Plant was walking. Like, I'm not saying he was hurting Canelo, but Caleb Plant, like I said, was walking Canelo into some good shots, yeah? But eventually, Canelo would land a good one, and the feet would slow down. And you know what happens when Canelo catches these guys up? He hurts them, yeah? But he was never able to really, really hurt Bivol tonight. He was never able to slow Bivol's footwork down. He was never really able to slow Bivol's feet down tonight. And maybe Canelo was a little bit guilty of following Bivol around the ring a little bit too much tonight as well. What do you think about Canelo's feet? Do you think Canelo look quick-footed to you tonight. What do you guys think? Maybe it's the weight. Maybe it's just a bit too heavy and flat-footed at 175. And he's been going up and down in weight and things like that. What do you think about that? What do you think about Canelo's foot speed? What do you think about Canelo's foot speed? Do you think I've got a point there? Maybe Canelo a little bit flat-footed, a little bit behind the pace of the feet. Because like I said before, if you've got that style from Canelo and you're just fucking whipping in these massive shots, massive overhand rights, massive shots, and you're missing, you're hitting fresh air, you're hitting arms, it gets very, very tiring. And then obviously, like I said before, you need that quick footwork to close a guy like Bivol down. What do you think? Yes or no? You need that quick feet to close a guy like Bivol down. Do you think I've got a point that Canelo's feet didn't look very fast tonight? Didn't look very fast to me. But again, Bivol was excellent. You got to give Bivol credit. And like I said before, Canelo just went up a little bit too far. Not saying that Canelo's not a great fighter. Right, let's get all your comments and I'll read them all. Let's do this. Drew Chambers, Canelo every punch the same tempo. No variation, no feint. I've been saying this for the last 5 fights. Thing is, the stuff that I'm saying, I'm not just saying now. This is stuff that I was saying against Billy Joe Saunders. This is stuff that I was saying against Caleb Plant. Lack of feinting. Fights in the same tempo. Tonight, again, it was a double jab right hand, double jab right hand, double jab right hand. So, yeah, double jab every single time. It was the same combination pretty much. That he was trying to land with Bivol. Was trying to walk through the center line, double jab, and set him up for the overhand right. And you've already got the height and size against you. Bivol can see this stuff. Bivol knew what was coming a mile away. Bivol sees the double jab. He knows it's the right hand most likely coming afterwards. Just circle off and exit. I mean, you've got to be more than that. But I blame Eddy Reynoso for that. I see what's going on in this gym. And I see some of the stuff that's going on in these training videos. And, you know, I see Canelo. I'm not saying Canelo's not a great fighter. But Eddy Reynoso's got him in front of these massive heavy. Have you seen these videos of Canelo Alvarez? And Eddy Reynoso's got him in front of this massive heavy bag. And he's just planting his feet and he's smashing these bags. Have you seen this stuff? Eddy Reynoso's got him with his feet planted, smashing these heavy bags. Or have you seen the other one where Canelo's got his feet planted, yeah? And Eddy Reynoso's got the noodle stick and he's waving it at Canelo. And Canelo's feet are planted and he's ducking underneath the noodle stick and smashing the heavy bag. You see what I'm saying? So Eddy Reynoso's behind the heavy bag with Canelo and he's waving the noodle stick at him. And Canelo's just holding his feet, but he's weaving in and under, and smashing the heavy bag. When I see stuff like that, and I could be completely wrong because we don't know what goes on, you know, with Reynoso in the gym, but I see a lot of this stuff in this Reynoso gym. A lot of planting of feet and smashing the heavy bag. Planting feet, smashing the heavy bag. Then Reynoso gets the fucking noodle stick out. Let me show you Canelo training. Let me see if I can get you these videos. And I could be talking rubbish here, but I'm not saying anything that I have not been saying for a very, very long time. You see some of the videos of the way this guy's been training. This is better from Canelo, but you see his feet are planted. His feet are planted. He's not really adjusting his feet. So I'd like to see him adjust his feet a little bit more. You see how close he is in there. If you see someone like Ryan Garcia, the whole point of this Cobra bag is you're supposed to adjust the feet a little bit off them. When the bag comes towards you, you're supposed to adjust them feet. He's not adjusting his feet so much, but have you seen this? A lot of the heavy stuff. Look. Heavy set, look. Heavy set. This is better. But there's not a lot of in and out there. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking bollocks. He needs to quicken up them feet. You see what I'm saying? He needs to quicken up them feet. You want him moving in and out. Can you see here, even in his training video with Eddy Reynoso, yeah? He's not going in and out. He's not feinting. He's walking in a straight line, but he's using excellent head movement. The problem with this against Dimitri Bivol, with doing this kind of thing against Dimitri Bivol was the following. See when Dimitri Bivol throws these shots and he's slipping, Canelo tends to lean back a lot, leave himself out of position to throw. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Mr. Anderson says, I've seen that shit. All I see is Canelo planted like a tree throwing bombs. This is some better stuff. I have to be honest with you. This right here from Reynoso is some of the better stuff that I've seen from him because at least I'm seeing Canelo moving his feet a little bit on the way in. But can you see, look, the feet are planted. Now, if you look at Bivol, Bivol is the bigger guy than Canelo, right? Bivol's the bigger guy. He's the taller guy. And I could be wrong, but I think he has the bigger reach, right? And who adjusted their feet more in tonight's fight? Bivol or Canelo? It's the smaller guy who needs to foot feint to get inside. It's the smaller guy who needs to be clever. Feint, draw the jab from the big guy, and then step in behind and come in with the shots. That's the smaller guy that needs to have that kind of footwork. It's the smaller guy that needs to stand in front of the big guy and throw the foot trigger, throw the foot feint, in, out. Make him commit. Draw the jab off him. Draw the right hand off him. Come under it and then land your shots. Bivol was the one who had the footwork in this fight. It's supposed to be Canelo. And that's the point I'm trying to make. And it's this stuff. Look at this shit that Reynoso's got him doing. And people are saying this guy's the fucking trainer of the year. I mean, I could be wrong, but all the work I see is stationary. No feet adjustment. Hey, it's a lot of stationary work, hitting heavy bags. Can you see this? Heavy duty stuff. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think I'm right or I'm wrong? If you guys think I might have a point, press 1. If you think I'm full of shit, press 2. What do you think? Oopsie, it's my mic. What do you think about that? You can see it here, innit? Fucking planting them feet. Look, plant. It's like his feet are rooted in the fucking floor. Like if Canelo fucking stays, if he plants his feet anymore, he's going to grow roots. And again, I'm not saying Canelo's not a great fighter. I'm not saying that I could coach Canelo, that I'm better than Canelo. But this is stuff that I've been saying about Canelo for loads of his fights. Here's another video. What's he doing? Look, here's another one. Feet planted. Feet fucking planted. Smash this heavy bag. Feet planted. It's just a little pattern I've noticed about him. Here's another one. Look. Here's another one. Look, feet planted. Smashing the heavy bag. Yes, there's head movements. This is the one where the one I told you about, where Reynoso's got the fucking noodle sticks out. But look at the feet. The feet are planted. You need to adjust them feet, man. When you're going to deal with Bivol, you're going to need to be... I'm telling you. Let me tell you this now. Seeing this rematch with Dimitri Bivol, yeah? If he thinks he can just walk in a straight line, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to be in trouble, in my opinion. Because Dimitri Bivol's got too much of the physical advantages for him. He's got too much of the physical advantages, and he's too good at bouncing in and out of range. Look at this stuff here, look. Planting them damn feet. I'm not saying Canelo Alvarez doesn't work hard, but I'm just saying. Do you guys know what I mean? Sorry, let's go through this. Canelo too reliant on slipping and sliding with the head and hip movements and doesn't use footwork, which is what we've been talking about with Canelo for ages in these fights. And I think this guy's training could be the cause of it. I mean, for me, Canelo's feet need to quicken up a little bit for me. His feet need to quicken up. And I don't know, like I said before, Drew Chambers said, Bivol said in post-fight, every punch too hard, no setup punches. Did he really say that? Because if he said that, then there's no reason for me to continue doing this post-fight. Joe says, Bivol is a good combination puncher. Upper body and head movement isn't enough to deal with that. Drew Chambers says, Canelo was stronger than Bivol in there. Chris Villegas says, Bivol will be better in a rematch. Yeah, here's the problem, Chris. So will the judges. And the judges had him win it. The judges had him 4-0 down. The judges had him 4-0 down. Oh, we've still somehow got 204 people in the chat. If you'd like to hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. People don't agree with some of the stuff I say because I'll be honest with you. I give you my opinion. I say it how it is. I don't try and sugarcoat things. What you get from me is my honest opinion. I think Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter. Canelo Alvarez was not exposed. He's a great fighter. He was just a fighter that got in the ring with someone who was too big for him. Too big. But like I said before, there are definitely improvements and adjustments that Canelo can make in this fight. And I think footwork is the key for Canelo Alvarez. He's an excellent counter-puncher. So use the feet to draw the shot from Bivol and step in if you can. Use the feet. Use the feet. A little bit more in and out from Canelo. Step in, draw off the jab from Bivol. Draw the shots, make him fall short with a bit of in and out movement, and then go in behind the shots. Let's carry on. Luke Manhattan says Bivol was throwing body shots in the combos and varying the tempo of the shots very well. Canelo couldn't read the shots. Well, like I said before, the problem with Canelo is Canelo was holding his feet too much. Holding his feet and trying to lean back off shots against the guy who had the height and the reach. Is what it is. Tank Destroyer 62 says, just like the Mayweather fight, Canelo got out of box. To me, this was a little bit different than the Mayweather fight, to be honest. And he was more competitive in this fight than he was in the Mayweather fight. The Mayweather fight, for me, to be honest, and he was green in that fight, but he wasn't competitive at all in the Mayweather fight. At all. That fight wasn't competitive. This fight was competitive. Aussie Gutierrez, it'd be good to hear what some Mexican thanks. I always get abuse from Mexican fans because they always think I'm actually too harsh on Canelo, that I'm some kind of a hater. I'm not. If you've ever listened to this show, we do this with every single fighter. When Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder, I was called a hater for saying that it wasn't the greatest performance from Tyson Fury and that he left his chin hanging out to dry several times in the fight. This is just something that we do on this channel. When a fighter loses, or sometimes even when a fighter wins, we always go through weaknesses, because what you guys need to understand is then weaknesses get picked up by other fighters, and then other fighters capitalize on them. And you saw Bivol pre-fight say, in the post-fight say, we looked at what happened in the Kovalev fight and we built off what happened in the Kovalev fight. And you see that tonight. We see that tonight. Aussie Gutierrez says, just like Manny Pac, you can only go up so much in weight. Yeah, and Canelo's been going up and down in weight. Canelo's been going up and down in weight. And another thing about Canelo is he doesn't rest a lot, does he? And it's great, you hear this, hear the no, excuse me, the mic's gone again. You hear the whole no boxing, no life thing. And that's brilliant, isn't it? But Canelo is always in the gym. Maybe Canelo needs a break. What do you guys think about that? Not trying to make excuses, but what do you think about that from Canelo Alvarez? Do you think he just needs a bit of a break? I'm not saying he's going to come back and beat Bivol after a break, but do you think he needs a bit of a break? Because he's a guy who's in the gym constantly. And like I said before, the guy does heavy duty stuff in the gym. His work in the gym is heavy duty. He's in the gym, he's sparring heavyweights. He's sparring light heavyweights. He's smashing the heavy bag to pieces, loading up on power shots. I mean, he puts his body through a lot. It didn't surprise me tonight to see him flat, to be honest. Didn't surprise me to see him flat. I thought he looked a bit flat in the Callum Smith fight, to be honest. Weight and power aren't as significant, especially for someone like Bivol, who is at his normal size and weight. Absolutely. Good big guy, beat good little guy. Loading up and hitting Bivol's shoulders and arms, you got to vary them shots. And Canelo, again, Canelo is an extremely accurate puncher. He's extremely accurate. And if he was able to set up the shots a little bit more, he'd be even more. And I've been saying that for so long. I've been saying on this channel, Canelo would be even more dangerous if he could set up the shots a little bit better and not load up. Right. Give me your final comments. Let's go. Give me your final comments. The numbers are creeping down ever so slightly, so I assume this is a terrible boxing show. We've got 180 people still in the chat. Please hit the like button. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I'm not really that bothered. You notice that we read out comments. There's no super chat on here. There's no super chat, so nobody's charged to give their opinion. There's no pay to play. You just give your opinion, and I give you my opinion, and we just have a good old boxing chat. Give me your final thoughts on it. Let's go for your final thoughts on it then. So, give me your predictions for the rematch. Do you think Canelo should win to take the rematch? And give me your predictions for the rematch. And what can Canelo do in the rematch? Let's talk the rematch. A, what can Canelo do in the rematch? B, should he take? He will take it because he's a great fighter. He will take it because he's a great fighter. He will take that fight immediately. I would say 7 out of 10 boxers after a performance like that would not take that rematch. He'll take the rematch. He's a great fighter. He'll take that rematch immediately. Bivol, can Bivol get out of the rematch? It looks like Bivol's been trapped in one of those Matchroom rematch clauses, doesn't it? It looks like, but to be fair to Bivol, why would you not want to fight Canelo next? Canelo's like one of the biggest money fights in boxing. So if you're Bivol, you've just beaten one of the greatest fighters of all time. Why would you not want to go back and fight him in a rematch? To be honest, isn't it? It makes no sense, really, doesn't it? Now's the time, isn't it, to cash in and make the most amount of money. These next two this next fight, Dimitri Bivol's going to make more money in his next fight than he will ever make in his life. So really, if you're advising Bivol, you've got to take the rematch. Hopefully, he can just get a good piece of the split, and hopefully, the contract isn't so watertight that he's got no say. You know, some of these contracts, the splits for the second fight or for the rematch are already part of the contract for the first. You guys know that, right? You guys know that. Sometimes in his rematch clauses, the splits like I think Andy Ruiz might have had that with Anthony Joshua. Am I right or wrong? When Andy Ruiz signed for the first fight of Anthony Joshua, Matchroom were clever and they put they agreed to split in the rematch clause, didn't they? And then Andy Ruiz would have knocked him out and then wanted more money. Do you remember that? And he was he was threatening to not fight and pull out, but Matchroom had him in a watertight contract. So I'm not sure what Bivol can do. I'm not sure if this rematch clause locks him into a Canelo fight. I'm not sure if it locks him into a particular amount of the split. I don't know what's going on. I hope not, because he put his title on the line tonight, and he was undefeated. So I hope not. Let's go through some of these comments. Palmo Parade says, final comment, Vegas and British judges are scumbags. The judging is absolutely fucking atrocious. Let me just make it clear one more time. Whether you like me or you hate me, I'm sorry. These fucking cards are atrocious. Mike Coppinger, who is Mr. Matchroom himself, right? You don't get any more pro Matchroom, pro DAZN than Mike Coppinger. Well, he's now gone to ESPN, but you get to the point, yeah? Mike Coppinger is like the hitman for Matchroom. He had it 118-110 to Dimitri Bivol. I can't believe judges had it that close. Those scorecards need to be investigated. Look at this. Look, Al Bernstein, who's one of the most Listen, you guys know me. You know I have a little rule which again, I get criticized a lot for this rule. You know my rule, yeah? My rule in boxing. If you haven't boxed, it goes in the one ear and out the other ear. If you haven't been in a boxing gym, I don't listen to what you have to say, which is not always true. But Al Bernstein's one of the few guys who don't box that I really respect him. Look at Al Bernstein. Look. The 3-1-15, 113 cards in Canelo Bivol were not correct. It had to be at least a 116, 112 fight, possibly 117, 111. Al Bernstein telling it how it was. Those cards are inexcusable. I'll get them up in a minute. Again, if you're just joining us, Bivol was 4 rounds down going into the 5th round. Just give Bivol Fighter of the Year right now. Just give Bivol Fighter of the Year right now. The man had to get in the ring with one of the greatest fighters of all time on a Cinco de Mayo weekend, and he had to get in the ring with 3 judges as well. Bivol it was like a 1-on-5, wasn't it? It's like a robbery, wasn't it? It's like a mugging. Bivol was 4-0 down going into round 5 on all 3 judges' cards. Look, that is absolutely disgusting. It's Mike Coppinger again. Dimitri Bivol won the 12th round on all 3 scorecards and needed to avoid a draw. There you go. And you're telling me boxing isn't corrupt? There you go. You see this here? According to Coppinger. Here are the scorecards one more time. If Dimitri Bivol doesn't win that 12th round, it's a draw. Which is, of course, right. 115, 113. There you go on the judges' cards. If Bivol doesn't win that 12th round, that would have been a majority draw on all 3 judges' cards. Can you fucking believe that? If Bivol doesn't win that 12th round, that's a majority draw on all 3 judges' cards. That is shocking. A unanimous draw, whatever. That is shocking. That is shocking. That is absolutely disgusting, that is. I'm going to be honest with you. What do you think? Press 1 if you agree. Press 2 if you disagree. These are some of the most disgusting scorecards you will see this year. These scorecards are absolutely vile, and they need to be investigated. You know, people are going to call for a rematch. We need to clean up these judges' cards before we see a rematch. Those cards are inexcusable. Bivol was 1 round away from not winning this fight. 1 round. If he doesn't win the last round, he hasn't won this fight. Boxing is as corrupt and crooked as it gets. But you know all these muppets, you know what they're worried about? Daniel Kinahan. You see what I'm saying now? You see who these muppets are worried about? I'm worried about Daniel Kinahan. Okay. You worried about Daniel Kinahan? Is that what you're worrying about? You're worrying about Daniel Kinahan, but you're not worried about these fucking judges. You're not worried about scorecards like this in the biggest fights in boxing. This is the biggest fight in boxing this year, allegedly. You're not worried about scorecards. You know, people in Vegas are betting money on this shit. If you're in Vegas and you're putting thousands of dollars on the outcome of this fight, you must be sweating. Your asshole must be gaping looking at these cards. Can you imagine if you're in Vegas and you're putting 10, 20, 30 grand on this fight, and the judges are coming up with scorecards like this, and you're betting on this shit. And the judges have got Bivol 4-0 down after round 5, and Bivol needing to win the last round to win. They got Bivol on the verge of getting, they've got Canelo on the verge of getting a draw in this fight. But these idiots are worried about Daniel fucking Kinahan. They're worried about Daniel Kinahan. Jesus, what are you worried about Daniel Kinahan for? What are you worried about Daniel Kinahan for? I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face, man. Keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. Jesus fucking Christ. Those scorecards get worse every... Let me have a look at the comments for this. Lord Jesus Christ. Look at this as well. Look, have you ever seen all 3 judges agree on every single round? What do you think about this? These judges' scorecards. Apparently, the scorecards are identical. All 3 judges scored every single round the same. And we know some of the opening 4 rounds were close rounds. And all 3 judges managed to score exactly the same card. Is that right? I'm not going to go through the numbers now. The numbers are up on the screen. If you guys want to have a look at that, let me know. Because I can't do a show and read your comments and moderate and go through this all at the same time. Because what do you guys think? This card gets more suspicious every time you look at this. This is absolutely outrageous. In a fight like that, where there were some nip and tuck rounds, particularly early, Bivol pulled away in the second half of the fight. But early doors, there was some nip and tuck rounds. There was a few nip and tuck rounds. Imran did say earlier. But somehow, 3 judges have managed to score this fight identically across the board. When was the last time that happened well, I'm sure that might happen in some shutout fights. But when was the last time you saw that in a non-shutout fight? Does that make sense? That might happen on some cards, yeah, where you get a 12-0. One guy, schools the other guy. You know them Sonny Edwards fights where Sonny Edwards be knocking over these Indonesian tomato cans. I love Sonny Edwards, really. I'm just fucking around. You know what I'm saying? But in a fight of that magnitude, in a fight that was like that is shocking. Them cards are fucking shocking. Them cards are a disgrace. And you guys are telling me, Jesus Christ, I keep telling you, Anthony Joshua is the favourite to beat Alexander. I keep telling you, Anthony Joshua is the favourite to beat Alexander Usyk. Don't look at the boxing, look at the fucking cards. I keep telling you about this sport. This sport is crooked and this sport is corrupt. Simple and plain. Them cards are outrageous. Let me go through the rest of these comments to see what people think. Look, they tried so hard to rig it. Look at this one here. At this point, there's not much difference between boxing and WWE. The winner is pretty much decided before the first bell. Lord Jesus Christ. You know, people are betting money on this. That's what I'm saying. People are losing money on this shit. Mr. Anderson says, this is why I didn't lump on with a substantial bet. You need to decapitate Canelo to get... You know Canelo's winning that rematch. You know Canelo's winning that rematch. Jason Walker still thinks Usyk stopping AJ. Jason Walker, if you look at these cards, these cards that I've seen tonight in this Canelo Alvarez fight, I've never seen cards like these before. I've never seen... These cards are so bad. It's like these... I mean... Steve Weisfeld, don't they say he's the best in the business? Yes or no? Don't they say that Steve Weisfeld is the best in the business? I mean, what the fuck? It's like these guys have been trying to outdo our British judges. It's like these 3 sat down in a fucking meeting room with a cup of coffee beforehand and said, yo, I've been hearing rumors. They're saying that these British judges are the most corrupt judges in the sport. Nah, fuck that. We're taking over. Do you know what I mean? It looks like Steve Weisfeld's trying to outdo Victor Loughlin. He's been seeing some of them dodgy Victor Loughlin scorecards up in Scotland for these Josh Taylor fights. Steve Weisfeld sitting backstage with fucking Dave Moretti and Tim Cheatham going, look, I'm hearing rumours. They be saying that we're off our game. They be saying that these British judges are more corrupt than we are. Nah, fuck that. We're going to show these guys. Look at the state of these fucking cards. Bumper K said Algieri claimed he's the gold. Steve Weisfeld's the gold standard of judging, is he? Steve Weisfeld is the gold standard of judging in boxing. Really? Steve Weisfeld is the golden standard of judging in boxing. Let me tell you, Steve Weisfeld's the golden shower of judging in boxing. Has he ever boxed, Steve Weisfeld? Was he ever a boxer? Rule number 1, have you been in the ring before? If the answer is no, if you haven't had a pro fight, so you can't be a judge. Simple as that. Let me just make sure. Was Steve Weisfeld ever a boxer? Did he ever have fights? Did he have pro fights? Someone let me know. That's rule number 1 about judging. Have you ever had a pro fight? If you haven't had a pro fight, you can't be a judge ever in boxing. You can't. You can't be a judge. If you haven't been in there, put gloves on and had a pro fight, you can't be a judge on professional boxing. End of story. That's the basics, man. Because how can you come up with cards like this? Now, we know about Canelo's dodgy scorecards. The ones against Triple G were shocking. 118, 110. But let me tell you, these ain't too far off them Triple G cards, you know. I think Mayweather, the Mayweather ones are the worst we've ever seen. You will never, ever... The Canelo Mayweather cards will never be topped. 114, 114. You never top that as long as you live. But boy, let me tell you something. Who are the worst judges? Who are the more corrupt judges? UK judges or US judges? Fuck me. I'm going to be honest with you. That is shocking. Joe says, we all know CompuBox is bullshit. It is bullshit. But they had to count 150 to 180. Really, landed punches. So are you saying CompuBox, which I think is a crock of shit? But they said Bivol landed double the amount of punches that Canelo did. Oh, no. Did you hear Usyk trainer say after the fight they're in? No, they didn't. I don't think he said they were in talks of. Canelo can't beat Usyk. It's too much. Usyk's way too much for him. And that's not being disrespectful to Canelo or Alvarez. Look, there are people online saying that Canelo would beat a prime Roy Jones at 168. Shall I show you? Do you think I'm joking? And Canelo's a great fighter. I'm not saying he's not a great fighter. I'm saying that, but can you see how stupid some of these people are? They thought Canelo Alvarez would be a prime Roy Jones at 168. Lord Jesus Christ. Let me get this up. But these dudes, no disrespect. A lot of these dudes that say this stuff don't actually know anything about boxing. Like I said before, they're resume watchers, aren't they? Resume watchers. And they calculate everything by resume. I say it before and I say it again. When fights get made, boxing coaches look at footage of the fights. They don't look at resume. Boxing coaches don't look at BoxRec and go, oh, his resume is this, and this. So this is how we're going to train. This is how we're going to bring in sparring partners. It's embarrassing, man. People saying that Canelo would beat Roy Jones. James Toney. Oh, my God. They said he would beat a prime James Toney. Canelo Alvarez would be a prime James Toney. Jesus fucking Christ. These people need to go and take a long, hot shower, man. Listen, this is what happens when you fall into the BoxRec trap, innit? Do you know what I mean? Listen, like I said before, you want to learn about boxing? Russian School of Boxing. Do you want to know another brilliant channel for learning about boxing? Stop looking at resumes. You want to understand how boxing works? World-class boxing channel, Tom Yankello. In my opinion, this is one of the best channels, or if not the best channel in the business on boxing. Walter, what do you think's the best channel? Here's the best channel in boxing. World-class boxing channel. That's the best channel in boxing. Yeah? So now you've got your answer. Ultra, what do you think is the best boxing channel? World-class boxing channel. If you want to understand about boxing and learn about boxing and stop doing this, you actually want to understand how boxing works. Step in a boxing gym and understand how boxing works instead of doing this. Oh, but Ultratech, look at BoxRec. Look what BoxRec said. Oh, look what BoxRec said about rhythm. Oh, but he fought this guy in his 10th fight. He fought this guy in his... Oh, but look at he fought... Oh, he bought this over. Oh, but Ultra, he bought this over. That's not boxing. You see this guy here? This guy's in the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. Do you think this guy spends all day on box rec? No, he's in the gym. He's in the fucking gym. He's not looking up resumes on box rec. You understand? That's the difference now. This guy's in the gym. This guy is on box rec looking up resumes. Canelo would beat a prime Roy Jones. Oh my God. Please. Mr. Fool says absolutely Lee Wiley. Don't know if Lee Wiley boxed or not. Absolutely Lee Wiley. Got a lot of respect for Lee Wiley. Actually, do you know what though? I'm not going to be... I think world-class boxing channel, those are fighters. Let me tell you someone who's also... I don't watch his videos, but he's now gone into coaching. And that's Matthew Fouts. And I believe Matthew Fouts is now training amateur fighters. Yeah? So Matthew Fouts is a guy who puts his money where his mouth is. Because I believe Matthew Fouts... I don't even watch his channel, but I'm aware of it. But I know Matthew Fouts is now working with fighters. People are asking me, oh, Ultra, who are the best boxing channels? It's the guys who've been in the ring. It's the guys who actually been in the flipping ring. You think I'm going to super chat somebody when it would never been... I will never in my life, I will never ever super chat someone who's not about boxing, who has not been in a boxing ring. As long as I live, as long as I have a hole in my ass, I will never ever super chat a man about boxing who hasn't put gloves on. So I won't do it. What would I do that for? What do you know? You don't know nothing. Why would I include myself about that? That's why I don't have super chat on this channel. I've done a bit of sparring. Had a spar today. I got in the ring today. Put a head guard on. Had a little light spar in the ring with a head guard on. I did that today. But I don't know nothing about boxing. These guys, this guy puts his money where his mouth is. In the gym, works with fighters. Right, let's go through these final thoughts. Sorry. Works with fighters. In the gym, working with dudes. Ken Peacock, weight classes for a reason. Absolutely. Big, good big guy beats small little guy. Let's go through the final comments. Canelo Alvarez on a Dimitri Bivol rematch. This doesn't end in this way. I'm a very competitive person. I've got many years ahead of me, and I'm going to come back stronger. We want the rematch, and we want to do much better in the rematch. Listen, like I said before, have a rest. Have a rest in it. Canelo, he's a very, very hard-working guy. He lives in the gym. And he's a very, very hard worker. You know, like I said before, you can't keep going to the well. Maybe he's flat. He was certainly a little bit flat-footed for me tonight, in my opinion, you know? And maybe, like I said before, quicken up them feet a bit. Quicken up them feet. He made no excuses. Floyd Mayweather Jr. bet £10,000 on Bivol. That's not even a big bet for Floyd Mayweather Jr., to be honest. So you know Floyd knows about these Vegas judges. Because you know Floyd really be going in on these bets. Floyd be putting 100Ks and shit on bets. He only wanted to bet 10K on Bivol. Because you know, how much did he get back out of that? Let's have a look. There's Floyd's winning ticket tonight. Floyd won 40, 50 G's on that. Jason Mazer says, Canelo is great, but Bivol was too strong for him. I think Canelo realized this by round 3. Yeah, there's a great point about Bivol's guard. Bivol's guard is superb, you know. I don't think people understand how... I don't think people understand how hard it is against anybody at any level of boxing, whether you're going into the gym for your first day or whether you're Bivol and you've had a great amateur experience and you're fighting one of the greatest fighters of all time. To have a guard like that and to catch all the shots like Bivol, Canelo is a very, very accurate puncher. He's very, very good at whipping shots in and around the guard, finding gaps. He's a very, very accurate puncher. Bivol's guard, his fundamentals are so fucking superb. You talk about fundamentals, I have to be honest with you. Oh, yeah, Lakvinder Singh says, Ty and Booth, listen, let me tell you about Ty and Booth. Honestly, some of the personal stuff that he says about other people, I'm not a fan of that. But you never question Ty and Booth because Ty and Booth's a boxer. I would never question Ty and Booth. I would never question Ty and Booth. The guy's a boxer and the guy's proven. The guy's proven. Simple as that. Yeah, Mr. Fool, Floyd probably put a bet on Canelo too. He probably did. Eddy Hearn on Dimitri Bivol. It was a punch-perfect performance. For me, he won the fight. I think Canelo looked a little bit flat. Did he look tired? I think it's the brilliance of Dimitri Bivol. A big shock, but tonight belongs to Dimitri Bivol. Yeah, respect to Eddy Hearn for that. You know. But again, I think it's a good result for Matchroom. And it's a good result for DAZN because the Mexicans are going to come out in force. What do you guys think? I mean, I don't really care about pay-per-view numbers, but I'm expecting some of the biggest pay-per-view numbers of all time for this rematch. Would you agree with that, yes or no? Press 1 if you agree, press 2 if you disagree. I'm expecting some of the biggest pay-per-view numbers of all time for this rematch. Surely in the States, the numbers are going to be astronomical. Would you not think? The numbers are going to be astronomical in the States for this. This might be one of the best things that's ever happened to DAZN and DAZN pay-per-view. It might be one of the best things that's ever happened to DAZN pay-per-view, you know? Because this fight might turn out to be bigger than a Golovkin 3 fight could ever be. What do you think? What do you think about that? One, easy. I think they're going to do some gigantic numbers. I think there's a lot of money to be made in this next fight now. You know? The redemption arc, the Canelo redemption arc. I think we're going to see some big numbers. I don't think Eddie Hearn will be crying tonight, to be honest. And I'm a man who, you know, is what it is. Jake Paul's a clown. Bivol and Beterbiev. Wow. Bivol and Beterbiev. Let me tell you something. Bivol's got the fundamentals to get unanimous over Beterbiev. But Beterbiev is a different level puncher. That's like that I can tell you. Beterbiev is a different level puncher. Canelo Alvarez has confirmed he will activate his rematch clause for his second fight with Bivol. There you go. Rematch from at them finest. What? Can I ask you guys a final question? Do you think Canelo deserves a rematch? Give me your comments on that. Because I'm just asking. I don't have a problem with the rematch, right? Bivol, it's good for Bivol to get the rematch because he can make a lot of money. Yeah? But can I ask you, do you really think there's a need for a rematch in this fight? Given how you've seen tonight, we've shown that a lot of people have had that fight extremely wide. I think Big Dan Rafael may have had it close, but we know Dan Rafael is Dan Rafael, right? 103 likes, 150 people still here. We can just get a few more likes. That'd be fantastic. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think, like, if that was anybody other than Canelo Alvarez, would there be a need for a rematch? But have you noticed this pattern with these matchroom fights? It's a bit like Anthony Joshua versus Usyk, isn't it? Where, was it really a close fight? Did it really warrant a rematch? Not really. It's Canelo, so we'll watch it. And I have no problem because Canelo stepped up. Canelo put his pound for pound status on the line and he stepped up multiple weight classes. And like I said before, Canelo's a great fighter. But I'm just saying, if that was anybody other than Canelo, would we really be saying that's a rematch? Because to be honest, to me, that was conclusive, to be honest. Mr. Anderson says, I'm saying it, Canelo was exposed as having slow feet. Do you know what? This is why, and again, I completely disagree with those people. I think those people who say Canelo's avoiding black fighters are morons. And I'm a black guy saying that, okay? I'm a black person saying that. I think those people who say Canelo avoids black fighters is fucking stupid. He doesn't avoid black fighters. He doesn't avoid anybody. That's just stupid. He doesn't avoid black fighters. He got in the ring with one of the most skilled black fighters in the history of boxing. So as a black guy, I'm saying that this nonsense about Canelo ducking black fighters is complete fucking garbage. That is complete and fucking utter garbage. Yeah? But he has struggled against good feet. And Bivol's not a slickster. Bivol's not a Lara. Bivol's not got feet like a Erislandy Lara. He's not got feet like a Floyd Mayweather Jr., but he's got excellent footwork, very efficient footwork, very good in and out movement, pendulum stepping, etc., yeah? And he struggles, doesn't he? He struggles. And again, if you've missed what we were talking about with Canelo, we've said, look, see all this train of the year crap people be talking about. I've been saying, how do you know this guy's the train of the year? Well, train of the year. Look at a lot of this training. Let me tell you. There's a lot of this stuff in it at the minute. Canelo, look at this. This man just plants his feet non-stop. Look at this man in his training. This man, every video you see this man's planting his feet. Every video, Reynoso's got him in front of a head bag, planting his feet. Here we go. in front of a heavy bag. Oh, mind you, because of every video, every training video, this man's in front of a heavy bag, planting his feet. And we've been saying for a long time, footwork is probably one of his few weaknesses, isn't it? Luke Manhattan says his feet aren't as slow as people think. Rather, he is flat-footed with how he advances and moves back, which comes from training. Fair play. Canelo never ducked no black fighters. That's nonsense. Canelo hasn't ducked anybody. Well, the only fighter I don't think he ducked him, but I think when Gennady Golovkin was at his absolute peak. Do you remember when Golovkin was at his peak? I don't think Oscar De La Hoya wanted that fight. I'm not saying Canelo ducked anybody, but I don't think Oscar De La Hoya wanted that fight. Do you remember when Canelo got in the ring and said, "I'll fight Golovkin next, I'll fight him tomorrow," and then the fight happened like a year later? Remember when Canelo and Golovkin took a good year or two to happen? That fight didn't happen right when Golovkin was at the peak of his career. Now, I'm not saying Canelo didn't duck anybody. I'm thinking Oscar De La Hoya, the promoter and the businessman, I didn't think wanted to see him in there with a peak Golovkin, in my opinion. Lewis didn't just rematch McCall in his next fight. He bided his time and waited. This is going to be an immediate rematch. Simple as that. Joe wants to see Bivol versus Beterbiev for undisputed. Listen, anything that stops Anthony Yard getting in the ring with Bivol, Beterbiev, or Joe Smith, I'm taking. You guys know I love Anthony Yard to bits, but you guys see the levels tonight, yeah? It frightens me that Anthony Yard is the mandatory to fight for undisputed. That frightens me. And you guys know I love Anthony Yard until the end of time. But let me tell you something right now. I'm going to be on the phone first thing in the morning to Frank Warren, telling him, please, Frank, you can't let Anthony Yard in the ring, yeah, with Bivol, Beterbiev, and these guys. Please, keep him away, man. Keep him away. He needs an in-between fight. And I know they want to make money off him and get him an opportunity, but the gap in levels is just fucking huge, man. The gap in levels is just fucking huge. You have problems with Lyndon Arthur's jab. Imagine what kind of problems he's going to have in Bivol's jab. So I'm just having a look at these things. We've already spoken about what Canelo can do different in the rematch. We've already spoken about that ad nauseum. So there you go. Right, guys, we're going to leave it there. 1 hour, 20 minutes. Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion, comprehensively beaten tonight. Canelo's a great fighter. This was a classic case of good big man beats good small man. And that's what it was. Canelo just moved up too much. That's what it was. I would say for Canelo Alvarez in closing, it was a combination of a couple of things that have been going on for a long time. One, sometimes it's good to take a break from the boxing gym. I'm not sure if Canelo's been taking a break. He's the kind of guy, I've seen him after some of his fights. 2 weeks later, he's back in the gym, smashing that heavy bag. Smashing that heavy bag. Maybe he needs a break. He looked flat tonight for me. Second thing in this fight for me, we've spoken about Canelo. Too predictable for me tonight. Kept looking in it, same rhythm, same patterns. Double jab, overhand right. Constantly tonight against Dimitri Bivol. When he couldn't land the double jab, overhand right and hurt Bivol, had no plan B tonight. Third point, and this is the real reason why Canelo lost this fight. And Luke Manhattan asked me for Canelo Alvarez, if Canelo's going to beat Bivol, what can he do? Second phase of attack. Look, let me Google this so people don't think I'm making this up. Look. Second phases of attack. When you load up, do you know one of the reasons why we criticize fighters like Conor Benn for loading up on your shots, right? The reason why is because when you load up on shots and you miss, you leave yourself off balance. And when you leave yourself off balance, you leave yourself out of position. You can't land a second phase. You need to get... Canelo Alvarez is going to need to have a good second phase to do anything with Bivol. You're going to have to accept that Bivol's feet and jab are extremely good and that you're going to be made to fall short and miss a lot of your punches in the first phase. So you need to set yourself up for the second phase. Canelo Alvarez did not set himself up for the second phase at any stage in this point tonight. Going for big overhand rights, big left hooks, hitting fresh air, and then completely out of position. Hitting fresh air off balance. Not in position to land a second phase. If he's going to have any success with Bivol, he's going to need to land clusters of punches. What do you think? Yes or no, right? He's going to need to land combinations of punches. In order to land combinations of punches against somebody with the physical advantages, good jab, good distance control from Bivol, he's probably going to have to accept that he's going to miss the first 1 to 2 shots that he comes in with. So he needs to leave himself in balance, on balance, and in position to land the third, fourth, and the fifth shot. The second phase of attack. That's the thing. But like I said, Reynoso's got him in the gym, standing in front of fucking heavy bags, plying his feet. His feet are out in Mexico growing roots in the fucking ground. That's how Reynoso's got him training. But they're giving this guy fucking training of the year. Come back to me with that trainer of the year stuff, yeah? Come back to me with that trainer of the year stuff. Let me know about that. Because I think a lot of the people who are giving out these training awards never even been in a boxing gym, and they're telling you who the best trainer is. Never even been in a damn boxing gym, but they're telling you who the best trainer is. Okay. Lack of feinting from Canelo Alvarez. We've been speaking about that for ages in Canelo Alvarez fights. Lack of feinting. Lack of feinting. Again, it's hard for Canelo because he spent a lot of this fight outside of range. So when you're outside of range, what's the point of feinting and then going if you're not even in range to punch? I mean, sometimes, yeah, you can feint, draw a shot, and then try to step in. It's very, very difficult for him when he's outside of range. But lack of feinting from Canelo is something that I've spoken about before. And that's it, you know. He needs to take a break. He'll never get rid of Reynoso. He'll never, ever get rid of Eddy Reynoso because we know about that partnership. But I would like to see Canelo do something different in camp. I like to see Canelo train a little bit different. And I like to see him quicken the feet. I like to see Canelo Alvarez really start focusing on, quickening them feet and a little bit of in and out to the game. I think the key to him beating Bivol is having a strong second phase and also a little bit of in and out movement. Step into Bivol, draw him in with the shot, step out. Step into Bivol, draw him in with a shot, step out, step back in again. He needs a little bit of that in and out movement. Foot feint like you're going to step into Bivol. So stand in front of Bivol, foot feint like you're going to go. Try and draw a jab, try and draw a right, and then step in underneath and come in with a shot. Something like that is something like what he's going to have to do. Can I tell you one other bad habit he had tonight that Bivol didn't do a lot of, that Bivol didn't expose? This is my last one. You see Canelo Alvarez, one of the tricks, it's a good trick. You see one of the tricks that Canelo Alvarez does is he leans over his front foot to bring himself into range. You see that? You see when Bivol's jabbing, you see when Canelo's catching them jabs off Bivol. You see Canelo always does this in fights, yeah? And Floyd used to do it a little bit as well. But you see when these fighters jab Canelo, he leans over his front foot, leans over his front foot, leans over his front foot to bait the jab, to slip and counter the jab, or he leans over his front foot to close distance and get a shot off. But you see when he was leaning over his front foot tonight, I kept saying to Bivol, right uppercuts there if you want it there, Bivol. Didn't throw it at all in this first fight. Let me tell you something, you throw it in the second fight. Watch that if you watch the fight to that, watch that in the replay. When he's throwing them little touch jabs at Canelo, Canelo's trying to get in close by leaning over his front foot and catching that. Leans over his front foot in a high guard, tries to catch those shots on the high guard because he wants to explode with the left hook. You see what I'm saying? So he leans in, he leans over his front foot. Touch, 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 leans in over the front foot to catch, because he wants to close the distance. He closes the distance on fighters by just leaning over his front foot, leaning over. Does that make sense? Tell you what, that right uppercut's right there for Dimitri Bivol when he leans over. Again, because Canelo's now going up against guys who are so big and so tall. You do that against smaller guys, shorter guys. You do that against guys who don't understand distance like Callum Smith. And he's always been doing that. Canelo's always been leaning heavy forward. He's always been doing that. But he's never been in a ring with someone. And Callum Smith doesn't know how to adjust his feet like Bivol. That's the difference. Callum Smith doesn't know how to double and triple up on the touch jabs like Bivol. That's the difference. When you're dealing with someone like Callum Smith, who's not a high output, who wasn't a high output fighter to me in that fight, big single, left hooks, that kind of stuff. But you see, Bivol's different. Bivol's touch, adjusting his feet. Touch, adjusting his feet. Canelo's leaning over, just trying to close distance so he can explode with something. Bivol needs to think about just bringing that right uppercut up the middle. Bringing that right uppercut up the middle. These are things that he's been doing for ages in fights. Bump of K. Right, we're all going home because Bump of K is smoking crack. I do think Callum Smith would do a lot better versus Canelo at 175 pounds. The only thing Callum Smith would get against Canelo that'd be better, we get a better funeral. Callum Smith would have got smoked. Them shots that Canelo was throwing in them first 6 rounds when he had the pop were absolutely vicious. them shots Canelo was throwing. Callum Smith has not got the thunder. The guard of Bivol is phenomenal. His guard is phenomenal. I like to have a look at it. Dimitri Bivol's guard is phenomenal. Callum Smith wouldn't have made it out of them first 6 against tonight's Canelo. Then the artillery that Canelo was throwing in them first 6 against Bivol was heavy artillery. But Callum Smith couldn't even handle John Ryder artillery. Where's that mem? Where's that funeral mem? Let me get that funeral mem up. Jesus Christ. I can see the logic in what you're saying, though. Because you're saying Canelo Alvarez is flat in it. So I understand in it. I understand what you're saying. There is logic in what you're saying. Because you're saying Canelo was so flat and so flat-footed at 175, yeah? That you think Callum Smith at 175. Let me tell you. Callum Smith couldn't even handle shots at 168 from John Ryder. Them shots that Canelo was throwing tonight would have done him. Let me tell you what happens if Callum Smith and Canelo ever happened at 175. Let me tell you, Canelo Alvarez could fight Callum Smith right now and beat him. This is the outcome. Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. You want to see it at 175? Here's the fight right now on Ultratech Sports pay-per-view. Here you go. There you go. Ultratech pay-per-view. There you go. That's Canelo versus Callum Smith at 175. Nah, yeah. It's I did you dirty there. I can see the logic in what you're saying, but I still think he would have been put in a body bag. He'd have been put in a body bag in the first 6 rounds. Canelo steps with his lead foot and leans back with his body. He could do one of 2 things from there. Bivol's seen it coming all day. Let me reread that. Canelo steps with his lead foot and leans back with his body. He can do one of 2 things from there. Bivol's seen it coming all day. Right. Yeah, bump of K. Look. Let me see. He took the shots last time and he's a more natural 175. Oh, my God. All right. I think the Canelo, the artillery that Canelo threw tonight in them first 6 against Bivol, I mean, was different to what he threw. To me, Canelo really did step through the levels in them first 6 rounds because he was in a very close fight. That's my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's fine. But I feel Canelo was I think the first 6 rounds, and that's why Canelo got tired. He threw heavy artillery. He was throwing everything he could at Dimitri Bivol in them first 6 rounds to put a dent on him and slow his feet down. This was not like Callum Smith fight. Callum Smith fight, Canelo was in control of the fight from round 1 to round 12. In this fight with Bivol, he could see, he knew he was in a completely different fight. And he boxed and he acted accordingly. And that's what great fighters do. They rise to the occasion. They, as the level of the opposition goes up, they fight. And you can see him really whipping the shots in. The shots were brutal. Against Callum Smith, he had Callum Smith under control. Backed up against the ropes. He had Callum Smith cornered. He's picking his shots against Callum Smith. Not a great performance. He was able to pick the shots against Callum Smith. Back him up to the ropes and just select the shots. Wasn't able to do any of that against Bivol tonight. He was never in control against the fight. Never at any stage was he in control of Bivol tonight. At any stage, And as a result, for me, you see in them first 6 rounds, and that's why I think he gassed out so much. You see, he put everything into trying to land that big shot, that big overhand right that would, buckle Bivol, unsteady his legs, take something out of him, slow the feet down. He was desperate for me, Canelo, in them first 6 rounds. He was desperate to get them feet slow, and he couldn't do it. Couldn't land anything clean. But actually, bump of K, to be honest, I take that back, Maybe that statement's not as... Look, as they said in the barber shop in Coming to America, what did they say? What did they say about Randy Moss? When Coming to America, when they went to go and see Randy Moss in concert, not Randy Moss, Randy whatever he was in concert. You ever seen the film Coming to America? And he said, that boy good. And he said, yeah, good and terrible. That's what I think of that opinion. Good and terrible. Right. Bump of K, it's all good, brother. It wasn't as bad as what you thought. 1 minute 30. That's enough from me. I think you got a good show tonight. Jason Walker. I can't win with this brother. What's wrong with this brother, Jason Walker? This man woke up Ladbroke Grove, yeah? 6 a.m. in the morning, Ladbroke Grove. And now Jason Walker's coming on here bullying me straight from Ladbroke Grove. This man waking up in the hood, yeah? 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Jason Walker ready to go. That's how life is in Ladbroke Grove, innit? That's how everybody behaves in Ladbroke Grove, home of David Adelaide. These Ladbroke Grove man wake up 6:30 in the morning. The first thing they want is an argument. Elaborate growth, man, to the core. I said elaborate growth, man, to the core. Wake up 6:30 in the morning. First thing to do, have an argument, innit? Elaborate growth. Even before they have a cup of tea, innit? Even before they boil the kettle, elaborate growth. Wake up first thing in the morning, have an argument. All right, guys. Peace out. Peace out.